What's up, everybody? It's your boy, and we're going to talk about Crawford, Canelo, and I want to break down what everybody missed, the so-called experts missed, what your friends might have missed, and maybe even what you missed, why you thought Canelo was going to win this fight, and you got suckered, you got hoodwinked, you got gassed, you got punked, because people like Robert Garcia, a boxing trainer, is so baffled by Crawford doing so well, and Mario Lopez, who knows nothing about boxing. He should just stick to commentating somewhere and pretending he knows, because he was telling you before the fight, and I was laughing, and I told you on this channel, all the receipts are here, all the receipts on most of the fights I predict right, especially with big fights like this, because I crunch all the numbers, and the only sport I watch is boxing, so I crunch all the numbers like when I get ETFs. If you don't know what an ETF is, go look. ETF is like a bunch of stocks, a super stock, a Voltron of stocks, of top tier stocks, all together, like VU, like QQQ. I get all the numbers together, like I know they're going up, there's dips, but they go up over the years, and you're getting paid, and you're getting paid constantly, millionaire moves all the way. But that, I took all the intel on that. On boxers, I usually know it's even easier when I know their career. I know what Canelo was capable of doing in his fight. I knew what Crawford was going to do, and he did it. He did everything I said he would do. And there's no notes in front of me. There's just an espresso, a fridge in back of me, just talking to the camera, stream of consciousness. This is all off the head from a boxing fan that only watches really boxing, occasionally UFC, not even so much anymore. So if you look at this fight, why so many people got it wrong, it was basically a big gas up, and they've been selling fool's gold, that is Canelo Alvarez, forever, and they got away with it for a very long time until they started getting more and more exposed. Well, he's a really good fighter, not discrediting him. He's a really, really good fighter, and when you have a really good fighter like Canelo, when you market him and you put him up against people unlike Floyd, that's why I told you when Canelo was only 23 in his prime, 23, a lot of fighters at 23. Look at Ali, look at Tyson, unstoppable, undefeated. He was beat by Floyd Mayweather, and that showed him, showed his promoters, it showed everybody what he should not be in front of. Just keep him away from tricky boxers, slick boxers, and he'll be doing fine. We can build his career up and cash him out again. GGG won the first fight. Overwhelmingly, you have to beat Canelo and to avoid a draw. A draw against the draws on Canelo's records were actually losses. And they were. I don't need three judges to tell me that. And they definitely were. If you look at those fights, and then he lost to Bivol, and then going into this fight, I told you before the fight, unlike a lot of these fake boxing YouTube experts, I'm sure there's many of them. And then there's some good ones too, I'm sure. I don't really click around and watch. I don't like to parrot other people. So I make my own, I formulate my own opinion through my own analysis and my own, what I'm seeing, you know. Like I said before, like if Joe Rogan sits there and tells you, I'm not saying Joe Rogan said this, but because he has a big following, or someone like a figure like that will say, well, I think Crawford is just too small. He didn't say that. I'm just making this up. I don't know what the heck he said because I didn't watch it. You know, people will start to parrot that, but I'm sure there was a lot of that going on. Vegas odds are for Canelo. Whoa, if you came here first, and if you're into this type of fight culture, and you came here first and you heard what I was saying, a lot of people were just, as usual, bashing me like they did when I told you Floyd would beat Canelo easily. Like when I said Lomachenko would definitely beat Rigondeaux, Guillermo, very great, really good Cuban fighter. People were like, some people. Now, I see a lot of cool comments popping up recently. I'm surprised. Unfortunately, you know, this is just for fun. I'm not just hating in quotes. I'm just a boxing fan doing my analysis, telling you who I think is going to win and calling it like it is. It seems rough because Canelo is a really good fighter. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and just tell you, oh, Canelo's some sort of bum. And that's what makes what Crawford did so extraordinary, that he could jump up weights like this, have everyone fooled. You could see calm, composed, and that even flipped it even more. So people were they're just into this thing where this Crawford guy should be more animated. He should look like this. He should look like that. He should be more, you know, loud. Should be more macho. All that. He's a calm wind. The guy has a boxing IQ, and I was saying this all before the fight. And he's gonna just outbox Canelo, and that's the way he's going to win. And that's what he did. He did exactly what I was going to say. Even the cut situation scenario I brought up before the fight. If you watch one of those videos and you find it, you'll see it on this channel. I told you that Canelo will get frustrated. You saw it in his psychology, his body language, everything. And like I went over before, I'm not going to talk about that so much. We're going to go into why people missed it more, because I've talked about the psychology, boxing psychology. You could have the physical specimen being like a Crawford or a Floyd or a Ali or a whoever, Joe Calzaghe. But if you don't have the mental to match the physicality, you're not going to be a pound for pound legend. You know, it's like rarefied air fighters. You'd like to see the best of the best, like Floyd Mayweather, Crawford. And you could see what someone like Errol Spence did against Crawford, how his whole body language on the second knockdown was like, he conceded, I lost, I'm gonna go out like a champ, I'm trying to get knocked out. And you can see Canelo in the Crawford fight, how he turned to the side later in the fight. He's like, I can't, mumbled to himself, basically saying, I lost, I can't do anything against this man. Total frustration. And why he didn't get knocked out, because he was hurt several times, whereas Mario Lopez said ping pong shots. Knows nothing about boxing. I'm telling you, I promise you, Mario Lopez knows nothing about boxing. He doesn't. You can see Floyd's punches hurting Canelo. They were bothering him, and he won. And you could see Canelo being rocked. Yes, his body was breaking down later in the Crawford fight. You could see physically his legs were a little iffy, because if you keep hitting over and over someone's chin, like Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson at the time, Godzilla, undefeated, you could see Buster Douglas was cracking the egg slowly, going through it. Don't even have to have super power. It's just eventually it's going to happen. And the reason why, like I said in the fight plan for Crawford, don't stand in front of him too long, don't get greedy. He was smart. He played it smart. He got the win. And in the second, if they're probably not even talking about a rematch right now, but if they do have a rematch, I'll tell you what's going to happen. We'll get into that in a minute. But why Vegas got it wrong is because of a whole parroting system, a whole flu that went around. There's a flu. The flu was Crawford wasn't that big. I mean, did you see Canelo versus Floyd? Floyd isn't exactly a light heavyweight. And whereas Canelo went up and fought at higher weights, so it was an illusion. People got disillusioned by this. And I knew this all along. That's what I was saying in all these fights. And then they bought into the whole thing where Crawford was just too small and he had no power. What, are you kidding me? And then he's not going to be able to keep the monster Godzilla Canelo off of him. A guy, Canelo, that lost arguably more than 2 losses on his record. Like I said, those draws, and then maybe some more controversial fights that you could go back and you might think to yourself, oh, well, he lost that fight as well. But let's say the 2 losses. So he knew he's lost already, accepted defeat in his mindset and his psyche. And boxing is a lot up here. I imagine any sport, especially boxing, has a lot to do with this. I went over with Teddy Atlas cheering on Michael Moore to try to beat George Foreman, and he was like, literally, he knew his fighter was mentally weak and he had to keep him going during the fight. So if you watch Teddy Atlas back in the day in the corner when he fought George Foreman, you'll see what I'm talking about. Teddy Atlas knew that he had to work on his fighter's psyche during that fight and cheer and urge him on and create a lot of positivity in him. Otherwise, he's going to break down, and he did anyway mentally. So Canelo's already been in those waters where he lost, whereas Crawford is a winner. He's one of these fighters that he has the body, that the physicality is just amazing. A boxing IQ, switch on a dime, southpaw to conventional. That is if you're not familiar with boxing like that. A lefty, and then a righty. So the conventional style would be the left for the jab out in front, and then you switch, and then you got your right foot out in front and your right hand, that's southpaw. That would be lefty. Crawford did both magnificently, and I said during this fight he should come out southpaw, and if it's working, stay in that stance and get the job done, which he did. So here it is. The flu that went around was just Crawford didn't have it. Crawford was too small, which was insane to me because he was 41-0 with 38 KOs. You saw what he did against Errol Spence, a great fighter in his own right. I mean, the guy was really good. He was knocking everyone out. He's really good. I know there's people, the car accident, this and that. These are excuses. This man never lost. He fought Yuriorkis Gamboa, another great Cuban, and that's the one time the most vulnerable Crawford was ever in his career. And I studied that round. I think it was the 8th or 9th round, but it was later in the fight. I watched it a couple years ago over and over, and I saw Crawford was rocked, but he switched on a dime, turned it around, fixed his errors, it fixed the mistakes that he made, and it just showed you that he's like a boxing prodigy. So he has the boxing IQ, he has the physicality, and he has the psyche. Going into the Canelo fight, he was not defeated ever, and he wasn't even thinking about a loss, and he don't know how to lose. That's the old saying, right? And then there was historically in boxing, the bigger man oh, the great bigger man always, or the good bigger man always beats the good little man. I said, no, 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 no. This man is not a good little man or a great little man. He's an amazing, fantastic pound for pound legend little man, and you're gonna see. And he's not even that much bigger, Canelo, and everybody saw that on Fight Night. So a lot of people got disillusioned. They got hoodwinked by the sales of this. The average person didn't know what the hell happened because they were expecting to see a big guy, and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm talking about casuals. The casual people that really don't know boxing, and they're betting and having a good time. They probably expected on the night, oh my goodness, this Canelo looks, wow, he doesn't look that much bigger. Are you kidding me? What's happening here? What is going on? So, why did I bet on this guy? I'm going to lose my money. So, it's funny though, I was at a little concert thing in Brooklyn, and someone told me, my wife actually reminded me, someone said, hey, I'm having the Canelo versus Crawford fight. I'm going to invite you over. Well, I didn't go because I forgot all about it. And who do you think is going to win? And I remember saying, I think Crawford's going to outbox him. He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, no. And this guy knows boxing. He's like, Crawford's he's too small for him. So I was like, you watch. And I was like, Canelo's not even that big. What are we talking about here? Anyway, so a lot of people overlook this. Vegas got it wrong. If you're into gambling and you're betting, good for you. Preferably, I would say put your money on growing ETFs in the stock market to track the SPY as well, and technology, the NAS, and you're much better putting money into that because you actually, non-financial advisors see it go up over time. And Canelo's stock was dropping, and I did that whole graph with Crawford going up. Remember that thumbnail? Yeah, because that's before the fight. I don't always get it right. I get things wrong. I mean, someone asked me about Thurman, the Thurman fight, Fedor, whatever, coming up. I got to look at what's happening with Keith Thurman in his career, his age. I got to look at his opponent. I think he was brutally knocked out, so I got to look at that. And then someone asked me about the Usyk, really good topic, Usyk versus Ali fantasy fight. I'll probably try to inject my thoughts on that into an actual video, because if I put the title up and talk about that as a fantasy fight, the algorithm is probably not going to like it. Again, I'm not doing this for a living anyway, so what the hell do I care, right? But really good stuff. So yeah, they got it wrong. So next up, I want to see what's coming up. But Crawford versus Canelo 2 should not happen if Canelo doesn't want to really look even worse, because there's a good chance in Canelo versus Crawford 2, as long as it's not too long. Don't forget, in the fight, for people saying that I'm going to be making excuses after Crawford loses to Canelo, you're all wrong. But there is no excuses. I would just come on and tell you, hey, this is what happened, and I was wrong. You can't make the excuse about age. Crawford was clearly almost 38 going into the fight. Canelo's 35. That's 2.5 years older. So you had the older man. Really, it's remarkable, because I'll tell you why. Because Crawford was able to do this at just about 38 was because he did not take a lot of abuse and was rarely hurt in any of his fights. Like, he didn't take beatings. He didn't get rocked, knocked out, concussed over and over. Fighters like that, eventually, it's a short career. Arturo Gatti types, you know. This is why Floyd Mayweather could go into 38 having like really good performance at, I think it was 38, one of his last real performances. Fighters that preserve themselves like that. You see Roy Jones get knocked out by Tarver. It was over. It was a wrap there. Type of fighter that, you know, he could throw no jab, which is Canelo can't get away with that. Canelo fighting a pound for pound like Crawford, and just the audacity of people suggesting that. Again, I gotta say, and I laughed, that Canelo was gonna knock out Crawford early, even knock him out at all. People are crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous. The disrespect that Crawford gets or got, and still, I mean, this man should have statues made of him. He's the truth. He's the best in this era that you'll get pound for pound, proven. Anyway, the rematch, if there is a rematch, I think Crawford, I would favor him now in a rematch because of the first fight, the way it played out. If he sticks around and he wants to knock Canelo out late, he can definitely do it. But he can't wait too long. He has to have the fight this year, because going to 39, then, you know, it's going to be like GGG. Canelo waits for him to age out. And they're dirty. No, honestly, dirty. I mean, the promoters and stuff. Like, they know, like, when Canelo's going to fight GGG, he was aging, they know Canelo's going to look a lot better as time goes on because he's so much younger. But if Crawford fights Canelo at 39, you know, this should not good. They're at 40 almost, not good. And then Canelo can redeem himself, right? but everybody would know when they both fought at the right time what really happened. I don't think Canelo and Crawford should fight again unless it's soon, 6-month turnaround. And then I would favor Crawford to knock him out late. Yes, I would. Should he try to knock him out late? No. He should try to get the win on him again, because they could fight 178 times, 200 times, I don't care, 1,000,000 times on the night they already fought, and the same result would have happened. The same result would have happened because he was 38 almost. Canelo's 35. If you go back and say Canelo's 25, 6 or 7, Crawford's almost 28, same result. Crawford would win every time because the styles make the fight, and Canelo's just not on the level. That's why, in my opinion, he was outclassed. Outclassing. You saw it outclassing, just like what Mayweather that I predicted on this channel. Check the receipts if you don't think it's true. I told you it would be like this. I love Pacquiao. I told you that Floyd going into that fight, it would be a very anticlimactic fight. I literally put on the screen and made it like a vlog. Didn't get a lot of views because the way I thumbnailed it, I should have re-uploaded it, repackaged it, but I didn't. Who cares? I wasn't like doing it for views. But I told you, and I broke it down back then. I don't know exactly what I said, but I do remember editing and putting on screen anticlimactic, and Pac would be outboxed. He didn't stand a chance against Floyd. And I'm telling you, because I know truth when truth is proven. When you keep going in there over and over and over, sometimes I'll get it wrong, but when you go in there over and over and over and you build up a record like that, and it's not like Crawford, a lot of people are trying to discredit him, saying he didn't fight this one, he didn't fight that one. No, when I saw Crawford beat Spence especially, I knew with Gamboa he was special. But when I saw the Spence fight, I was like, this dude is on another level. So I knew, I don't care how he looked in his last fight. He's fighting down to someone, and still, because everyone's so spoiled with seeing Crawford almost never lose rounds, so he went up a weight and tested it out before he fought Canelo, and who's the guy's name? Israel. He didn't look like spectacular to some people, and again, more flu, more disillusionment, more BS thinking, oh, well, Canelo's really going to do a job on him. You people weren't paying attention. You just don't. I don't want to say you don't know boxing, but some so-called boxing experts really don't know boxing. Consistently, they can't pick boxing. It's their business. They chose the profession. They want to be reporters, but they really don't know boxing. Wasn't there one guy, I clicked on the channel, I don't know his name, he was saying, Canelo, I was the only one of the only ones that had the card right for you. This is ridiculous. This guy knows nothing about boxing. You can know the fighters and be a fan and have fandom, and you can know everything about boxing, but you really don't know and consistently what's really going on in the ring if you're not picking fights right often, like consistently. I've done it on this channel. I've won contests. The receipts are all here on Showtime, picking unknown fighters, which is even harder. I had to do more research with boxing records, and I won prizes, I believe it was twice, and I went on streaks over 10, 13, 14, 15. Privately with my friends back in the day, I would go on sometimes 20. My friend's like, how do you know who's going to win every time? It's funny, I have a friend, and every time I would ask him, so who do you think's going to win the fight? And he would wait to hear who I said, and then go, yeah, he's going to win. I'm like, yeah, because you hear me say it. But anyway, really fun times. This is fun. So I think Crawford, honestly, he should just retire. Of course, now we have the new, who said it was going to be the golden age of boxing? BS, there's no golden age, it's gone. That was back then. It's going to be the golden age. I'll tell you what, that's BS, because if you're working for a company and they hire you, you want to promote boxing, you're getting a check, you're on a salary, I'll be saying the same thing. The golden age is for the Jake Paul fake fights, fake boxing. The golden age for that's going to be there. So is Crawford going to go into that? It'll be hard for him to turn down millions. Crawford, 40 years old, sitting on the couch, chilling, doing whatever, has all the money in the world, but hey, I can make another $5 million or whatever he's going to get for fighting some YouTuber or fighting an MMA guy from who's retired for 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's hard to turn down money like that. I get it, but that's the golden age of boxing was decades ago. It already happened. You missed it, and with all the streaming apps and with all the disjointed locations of where is this one fighting, where this DAZN, ESPN app, I can't even find these things. I got to go research and look up who's fighting and where. Netflix, this one, that one. Come on. I mean, how do you, back in the day it was HBO, Showtime, and sometimes ESPN. Before that, talking real young growing up, was maybe you'll get a fight on ABC or CBS from what I remember, on regular TV. It would be an afternoon. So yeah, believe it or not, wasn't it Mike Tyson fighting, I think, Marvis Frazier? Wasn't that on TV? It was like ABC or something. Jim Lampley's first fight that he ever called. Really interesting. Anyway, so another video, and we'll see what happens. This is going to get really interesting. We'll talk about other fights upcoming, fights that catch my eye and other things. I like to talk about other things, but the algorithm's just feeding this because I'm talking about this right now, but it's fun. So I'm out, and Canelo, you know, Canelo's going to probably ride this. He's going to come back and fight again. I don't know if he's just going to retire in a loss. No way, but it's getting time. It's high time, you know, 60-something fights. There's a lot of fights under his belt. Certainly he's not a Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez was just a different thing. So to even compare them, it's just like comparing, it would be like comparing like, I don't know. It'd be comparing like, you know, someone has nothing to do with Ali to Ali. Anyway, I'm out.